Cool. So
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show. Okay. All right. So here's a crazy conspiracy that's actually not a conspiracy. So the same companies that own the food industries were the same companies that owned cigarette industry in the past, right? But that since that was going extinct, they're like, oh, we got to hop over to something else. So imagine that, like tobacco, they just basically took over the foods, and then now a lot of it's crossed over into the same companies that own big pharma. So the same foods that are getting us sick are the same foods that are treating us. It's just like a whole life cycle.
It's like a conveyor belt. It's how to keep you sick.
Yeah.
Eat packaged foods.
Yeah. Eat all this crap. Okay. Well, did you know that? Have you seen the huge Kellogg's protest?
I have.
With all the celebrities?
For a long time. I have 2 nephews and a niece.
Oh, really?
So I've always been a big advocate to not feed kids cereal, especially all those like Fruit Loops and all the very high color.
Yeah, artificial flavorings.
Look at the ingredients. Why does kids' food have artificial ingredients?
Right.
So that's creating a lot of neurological problems.
A lot of ADHD from Red 40.
It's creating a lot of neurological diseases that are later on being masked as here's some medicine to cure it, right? So instead of eating healthy natural foods, in most countries in Europe, they're banned of the same chemicals that they're using for our foods to brighten the colors. They're banned in Europe.
Yeah, there's like 30 different chemicals.
Yeah.
Even Canadian Fruit Loops were like colored with like natural beets and
one looks
carrots.
a little neon, one looks normal.
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to make the food more addictive for us.
That's crazy.
And that's happening in fast food. That's happening in a lot of the packaged food. That's happening with like a company Siete that recently was sold to I think Pepsi or Coca-Cola.
What?
And they were a natural food.
Whoa.
They were like natural ingredients, no chemicals. It was a family owned, and now they sold to a big company who's going to now change it and make it addictive and start putting chemicals and start using seed oils. And every time that there's someone trying to build something healthy, these big companies are buying them off because they want to control how they keep us sick.
Yeah, that's true. And so that's why, since the election season coming up, who was that Kennedy guy?
Robert Kennedy Jr.
So he came out with a huge announcement that said, anyone in the FDA, it's like you're making foods that, or you're approving foods that are making everyone sick.
Yes.
He's like, he said something to the effect where it's like, we're coming for you, and here's your notice to pack your bags and don't hide any reports.
Yes.
Because we're going to prosecute you guys. I'm like,
what's been happening is that companies show up with a report that supposedly is a third-party tested.
Yeah, right?
They provide the report, and they say this is a healthy food. And it turns out that then they have carcinogenics, things that will create cancer in you, neurological problems, artificial dyes, artificial chemicals to make it more addictive. And it's really an unhealthy product. But because the FDA is approving it through either being sponsored, paid by, some situation that they're coming to an agreement with that company, but they're not doing the right thing. Oh, wow. So Robert Kennedy Jr. is really set to make America healthy again. And I really have liked his energy as far as caring for the environment. And now he's putting that energy into the health of America. And I feel like we really need it.
Dude, yeah, it's finally, right? Like,
yeah.
It's weird because everyone's like always like, oh yeah, U.S. is like the best country in the world. I think just because it's like a legacy where United States did save the world from, let's say the Nazis in World War II.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather live in this world than, speaking German and stuff. But at the same time, it's like, there was a old quote that said, if the hero lives long enough, they eventually become the villain.
Yes,
Whoa.
yes. And I think what happens is that...
Oh, wait, go ahead. You can do it again.
There.
Yeah.
As you were saying, yeah, what I believe is happening is that there's a lot of corruption, unfortunately, in politics, and they're not doing what's right for the American people. They're doing what's right for their pockets. And it's being shown over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's time for change. And obviously, with the elections coming up, I do want change. I want politicians that do care about this country, that care about the people, put their health and well-being in front of profits. And that they're also not giving tax breaks to these massive companies that are putting poison in food and then selling it as effective health food.
It's the same thing that the cigarette companies did. They hired doctors back in the day, like, oh yeah, these cigarettes don't harm your health at all.
Yeah, they're good for energy.
Yeah, it's great. They're good for your respiratory tract.
You had doctors in advertisements saying, "I promote this. This is the cigarette that I smoke." So then you have a doctor telling you that he smokes that brand. So they're like, "This is the safe brand. This is the brand I would recommend."
Yeah.
So obviously, people feeling that the government is helping you, that the government cares about you. But the unfortunate reality is that you have to now be a little bit more aware and become your own doctor. You have to ask questions, not just assume that whatever you're being told is factual, especially in nutrition. I ask people, well, imagine if you lived 500 years ago, what would you be eating? You likely wouldn't be eating this packaged food. You wouldn't be eating this candy. You wouldn't be eating pints of ice cream, right? You wouldn't be eating things with seed oil. You wouldn't be eating cereal. Like, there's so many things that are now man-made, artificial, that are hurting us. What would you eat? A lot more natural foods, vegetables. You would eat, potatoes, rice. You
things
would
like
eat
without pesticides too.
things without pesticides. That were actually, the soil was more nourishing, right? So regenerative soil is important. Getting foods from prospectively a place that has regenerative farms. I've been vegan. I've been vegetarian.
Oh, you have?
I have. And they really didn't work for me.
So how long were you vegan, and then how long were you vegetarian?
I was a strict vegan for a year.
Okay.
And I was eating all varieties of food, but I lost a lot of weight. I had a lot of inflammation. Very hard for me to keep and build muscle.
Wow.
Because the majority of the protein was pea protein.
So
it's like
and then there's
tofu. And this is not the same, no matter what anyone tells you, it is not the same as eating grass-fed beef, eggs, or fish.
Yeah, and organ meats, yeah.
And organ meats.
Yeah, all
it's
like the nutrients.
Not going to replace, plants do not have the same protein as animal-based protein. So for me and for many people who are now slowly figuring that out, you don't have to eat meat every day. You don't have to eat that animal-based every day. But it's important for you to have a balance. And eggs, for me now, are very safe. I eat eggs every day.
Oh, wow.
I can eat from 6 to a dozen.
Whoa.
Super healthy.
Okay.
Doesn't affect my cholesterol. Doesn't affect my blood work. Super bio available for your body, for you to digest. Healthy fats, good for your brain, good for your skin. Chickens lay eggs without... It's nature's gift.
Yeah.
They don't have to have sex to lay eggs. So it's something that's very healthy if you want to be more less meat based. But I will still say supplement with some kind of liver tabs. Prospectively, some organ meats. You can now buy them in high quality capsules.
Yeah,
you don't have to really eat them.
Yeah.
Yes, they're not sometimes the tastiest if you don't prepare them right. But having liver is really good, very high in vitamins and minerals, and very nutritious for your overall your body. A lot of the soil now is depleted, so a lot of the food that we're eating doesn't have a lot of nutrients, even when it's organic, right? It's organic, but what's around that?
Yeah.
Are there pesticides? Are there chemicals being placed in the air? Are there chemicals on the 2 farms down? So it is getting where you have to be careful of the quality of food that you eat. Ideally, natural foods will be the best, not packaged stuff.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing in the society we live in, too.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get to that unprocessed food? Because the thing is, like, processed things are super profitable because they last longer. Yeah,
you can also now Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Have food every day to your door. You don't even have to cook.
But even right, like even places like big brand grocery stores like Publix or Ralph's or Albertsons or Stater Brothers, something like that.
Yeah, ideally, if you can cook majority of your meals or prepare them at home, will be better. Even from cooking oils, I suggest staying away from seed oils.
Okay.
Using more animal. You can use tallow. You can use ghee. You can use grass-fed butter. You can use unrefined coconut oil. You can
Ah.
use avocado oil. Ideally, all of them to be organic.
What do you want to avoid then? What kind of oil?
You want to avoid like canola oil and seed oils.
Okay.
Because
What's like a seed oil?
a seed oil is
Like a corn?
A corn.
Okay.
Ideally vegetable oils.
Okay.
Vegetable oils. They're very highly processed.
Oh, vegetable oils.
It creates a lot of inflammation in your body. It takes a long time for them to get out of your body. And additionally, our bodies doesn't digest them well. If you think about it, these are very high chemical based processes to get the oil out of these, to get oil out of corn.
Yeah, I know, right?
You've seen what corn. If you ever
It's
look
like
at corn,
super-
there is
yeah.
no oil. I mean, they're processing it very heavily with chemicals.
Wow.
They're not safe and healthy for you.
And then that causes endocrine disruption, messing up your hormones.
Messes up your hormones.
And even the American Heart Association, they came out and said that eating red meat does nothing for your cholesterol. And they're finding out it's the seed oils.
It's the quality as well, right?
crazy.
Because let's be honest, if I eat a grass-fed beef burger, it will cost maybe $10, $12 a pound. Get it from a regenerative farm, ideally. There's different brands that I can recommend.
Which one? Oh,
I like
the Butcher Box or no?
Butcher Box has good ones. I would say ideally get grass-fed and grass-finished.
Grass what? Finished?
Grass-fed and finished.
Finished.
Right, yeah, because what happens is that they are grass-fed, and then at the end, they start giving them a lot of corn and a lot of just to fatten them up a little bit. So you want to do grass-fed, grass-finished.
Whoa.
Bison's also really good.
Oh, yeah.
Venison's really good. You have, and we'll post a couple little, links to like prospective places so that you can get good quality meats. And you can also hear, we live in Miami, Florida, so Publix has as well. So it's not like you have to go always to a farm or somewhere far away. You can go to a local store.
So if you're going to a local store, do you get organic stuff or do you get...
Ideally, yes. I will say ideally get the organic. If you cannot afford at the moment organic, make sure you're washing your vegetables well. Make sure that you're using some kind of solution, a little vinegar or something, just to rinse them off. The meats, ideally try to get no antibiotics, no hormones. That can be definitely a step up and right before organic. Because you don't want antibiotics and hormones in your meat, your chicken, or any kind of food that you're eating.
Do you always look for grass-fed, grass-finished on your packaging, or is it...
Ideally, yes, but sometimes they'll just say grass-fed.
Oh, okay.
And then you have to research a little bit on the farm, where it's coming from. One that I like, it's in Georgia, and the quality of meat is excellent. And
Really?
It's $10.99 for a little pound.
What?
If you go to McDonald's now, you're gonna pay $8 for a burger that's not quality. Has a lot of fillers. The bread has like 40 ingredients.
Oh man, yeah, and all the
it probably has
glyphosate.
microplastics. It probably has other chemicals that are addictive.
Wow.
It's no longer food anymore. It's modified food. And what you need to look at is the labels. There's now sometimes, even in Whole Foods, labels that say bioengineered foods.
Whoa.
And so it's important for you to look at the labels. And this is from like the muffins that you might be buying. This is from like simple things. Look at that, and if it says engineered food, you don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
It's probably very not healthy for you, and it's going to create issues for people in the long run.
That's like the Monsanto's GMOs, genetically modified foods, that just like mess up your body.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not meant. This is why the gluten here in the United States is very different from the gluten in Europe. The gluten here is very hard to digest. Gives a lot of problems, allergies, inflammation, even neuroinflammation.
Wow.
Versus when you've gone to Europe and you eat the same pasta.
The same pastas, breads, and pizzas.
You're feeling great.
Yeah.
And you're not having this heavy digestive feeling in front of you. It's the quality matters. The quality is, you're better off always eating a little bit less, having a little bit more, 4 ounces of quality beef, than having 12 ounces of
unquality,
of not good quality, or very low, cheap quality, where it's gonna make you sick, and ultimately it's just gonna create health issues for you.
Yeah, I heard I forget who was saying, but the bread that they use in Europe, that they don't have glyphosate inside their breads. And so apparently they have it over here in US.
Yeah.
And then that's what causes all the gut issues, which is a preservative that just ruins the gut.
That and the gluten.
Yeah.
It's what's destroying people's digestive systems, creating leaky gut. which is then your food is the waste is going into your bloodstream.
Oh,
So
is that what leaky gut is?
that's
Okay.
what leaky gut is. So then it makes you very sick. And again, these are the problem with all these symptoms is they all start looking like if you have mold toxicity.
Yeah.
So you have to start kind of removing the layers and saying, okay, well, what type of food am I having? What type of water am I drinking? Am I consuming any toxins like alcohol or cigarettes or any other? Am I smoking anything else that's affecting my lungs, my body, my immune system? So it's important to get together with a professional that's familiar with this, that they can help you assess little by little. Okay, let's clean up your diet. Let's see what your health habits are like. Let's see some blood work. And then you can really optimize your health and feel amazing. Feel amazing at any age. Like, don't buy into that now you're 40 or now you're 50 or even 60 and you're supposed to feel old or, weak. This is just from your body not being in an optimal state. It needs to detoxify, and you need to add nutrition so that your body can thrive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's like, I think if people would just do, the 3 mold, parasite, and heavy metal testing, they get that flushed out of the system.
Yeah.
Then figure out their quality of, like, the basics, right? Hydration, sleep, repair the gut microbiome.
Yeah.
Get their labs done to see where their hormone panels are at.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like a lot, but I think all of that would only take a few weeks, right?
Within a month you can really realign all that and obviously improve your diet. A lot of times we think we're eating healthy. We think we're eating the right things. Glyphosate is in the oat milk.
Wow.
So you think and almond milk. You think, you're eating, they have found mold in almond milk.
Oh, man.
So then, they're not giving you the highest quality almonds.
Yeah.
They're getting the leftover cracked almonds that nobody wants. And then they're kind of rinsing them off, washing them, maybe steaming them, but they still maybe not killing all the mold. Then they're making them into almond milk, charging you $6 for it. You're thinking you're doing something healthy for yourself, something healthy for the planet. And you're slowly poisoning yourself, unfortunately, because they also even have carrageen in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of them you have to start. Yeah, you got to look at the labels. You got to look at what. You can even make your own almond milk at home if you want it, but I ideally now I have been drinking for a while raw milk, which is technically not for human consumption. They usually sell it for like animal consumption. Yeah. Or like in some places over here in Europe, they might say for bathing.
Really, for bathing?
Like for milk for bathing. But right. Obviously once you buy it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Oh, okay.
But raw milk has high dense nutrition.
Really?
Very good for us. It will not upset your stomach. But you have to try it for yourself.
Well, okay, so like without being processed or without being like, is there bacteria in there or is it safe?
There is, but it's actually good bacteria.
Oh, man.
If you think about it, we have good bacteria and bad bacteria, right? Like we need like the healthy, like the so-called good and bad bacteria is really just a balance of having a good bacteria in your stomach. Yeah. And what happened is they remove the good bacteria from the milk and then they steam it and then they add some vitamins. And then people drink it and they say, I'm lactose intolerant. And that's because they took all the digestive enzymes from the milk. And yes, if you drink anything that's, anything old meat can make you sick, right? Yeah. But ideally, if you smell it and if it smells a little weird, don't eat it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like people like are lactose intolerant here. They go to Europe and they're like, oh yeah, I can eat the cheese. I can have the pizzas
because they're eating raw milk, raw cheese, natural, right? And we go back to 500 years ago. What kind of milk were people drinking? There weren't
just regular milk, right?
It was just regular.
There was
milk.
No ultra processed stuff.
There was no ultra processed. There was no all this like steaming it and cooking it and doing all these things. So then people were very healthy. Vikings used to drink gallons of milk, and these guys were enormous. So it can be very healthy, and I wouldn't recommend anything I haven't at least used for like a year. Eggs, I'm huge on eggs, big on raw milk. It's very nutritious, very hydrating as well. And when you're eating these natural foods, what you're gonna end up feeling is more satisfied. You actually eat less. Because you're getting more dense nutrition. You're not feeling that like I'm still hungry. I'm still hungry, and that's just from a lot of empty calories. And then if you're having occasional grass-fed beef, I will say try to have fishes that are wild caught and balance out how much potential mercury they have,
Yeah, I know.
which is important to keep an eye on. And then a balance with fresh vegetables, potatoes, rice, fruits. I'm not against any carbohydrates. I think they all have a place. I don't go into zero carbohydrates or just like animal based or just carnivore. These are, I think, temporary, diets that you can try for a little while. But ultimately, when you get to a balanced meal, have a little carbohydrate, natural healthy carbohydrate, healthy fats, and a healthy animal based protein, you're really gonna improve your health and well being.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh man, I was gonna mention something. I forgot. Oh man. Yeah, that's good. Let me think here.
I don't know, 20 minutes now.
I know, man. Really good. Yeah. Woo. All right. Okay, so you were a vegetarian for 2 years?
I was vegetarian 2 years. Yeah.
Wow. And that's okay. So
No,
I
not
was
back to back. I've throughout my life, I have eaten, meat,
Oh, no,
chicken,
of course, yeah.
and fish, and then this was, I would say, in the last 10 years.
like a 2 year stint.
Yeah,
Straight through.
that I did.
Whoa.
1 year vegan,
Okay.
strict vegan. Very tough on my body. Inflammation went up because I was having a lot of
Really?
grains.
Whoa.
A lot of beans, a lot
Lentils,
of peas,
yeah.
a lot of lentils, and always feeling bloated,
Whoa.
not feeling optimal. Energy was fluctuating. I lost a lot of muscle, feeling inflamed, brain fog, and this was from the lack of nutrition. I wasn't getting enough nutrients from just eating tofu and beans and like some vegetables. It was incomplete. Right?
I think it's from the what was it? Dr. Gundry talks about this, the plant paradox, and how anything with a husk, like a whole grain, even flaxseed,
Yeah.
or anything that's a protective barrier, like these plants have these protective barriers so that you don't eat them,
Yeah.
so they survive.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, we were taught that, oh yeah, these are whole grains are great for you, and a lot of the beans that have like this like high fiber on there that's indigestible are really good, but apparently they just grind up your gut microbiome.
Yeah.
And then the gut, as Dr. Gundry was saying in his book, that your gut is only lined by like one cell thick. So anything can like really just mess it up. So in order to like regain and reestablish that, you have to like watch out for even tomatoes,
Yeah.
all these things. I'm like, man, it's crazy. And then just like you said, a leaky gut will leak all those toxins into your blood system,
Into your bloodstream.
and then boom, you'll get like
it gets
brain
to your
fog.
brain, and now you're starting to have really bad symptoms, right?
Wow.
Feeling close to like what if you had mold toxicity.
Whoa. See, I always thought being vegetarian was like a good thing because it was, all the yogis do it.
It was cleaner. And
Yeah.
I'm a yogi. I'm a
Yeah, I
yogi.
know, right? And everyone's like, oh yeah, don't eat meat, and
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
and
man.
a lot of the Indian culture, yes, they tend to advocate being more vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I respect it. I respect whatever lifestyle anyone wants to have.
Yeah.
But I've had many friends that have been vegans, vegetarians,
Mm-hmm.
and slowly went back to eating meat because they got sick.
Whoa.
They felt very depleted. They weren't functioning well. They felt weak, brain fog, inflammation, joint pain, and this is from all ages, from people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So it's not just age. It's just
Wow.
that our body needs a certain amount of nutrition to work optimal. And if we're not giving our body the nutrients it needs, it's going to start breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're not giving the right fuel to your car, it's not going to operate well.
Yeah.
And that's the same as we are. We are an organism that needs sun. We need grounding. We're electrical beings. A lot of another key thing that most people are low in is magnesium.
Oh yeah,
So
magnesium. I heard about that, yeah.
magnesium is something that I take. My thing got full.
Oh no.
Boom. I know. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I can erase